Hi, I'm Andy with EcoCha, and here we are with batch number 22 of the EcoCha Tea Club. And this month we have a gold medal award-winning tea from the Meishan Farmers Association in the Alishan tea growing region. This is a competition that is for Jin Xuan, which is a hybrid, also known as Thai Cha number 12. And they added this competition following their original Alishan High Mountain Oolong tea competition. And the Oolong tea competition is the second largest tea competition in Taiwan, following the Lugu Farmers Association. The Meishan Farmers Association Oolong competition has over 2,000 entries, and the new strain, as they call it, the new strain competition, which represents Jin Xuan tea, the hybrid designed by the Tea Research and Extension Station here in Taiwan, has over 1,000 entries. And our friend has consistently achieved high-ranking awards in this competition over the years. This past spring's competition, he attained gold medal award, which is within the top 15% of overall entries. And since this is a competition tea, I'm going to be a little bit technical and go ahead and weigh the tea leaves. This is about a 150 milliliter teapot, so I'm going to go with about 8 grams. The tea leaves that are prepared for a competition have been, you might say, manicured. The stems have been removed, any less than perfect leaves have been removed, any yellowish kind of hue of the leaves will be taken out, because one of the factors in grading the tea is the actual appearance of the dried tea leaves. So what we get with a competition batch of tea is the cream of the crop, so to speak. It's just the leaves that are the most perfect out of the overall batch of tea made on a given day. And in that respect, you get a slightly more concentrated brew since the stems are removed. Our April batch of tea this year was also from this Meishan Farmers Association tea competition, but it was the Qingxin Oolong strain, the original Oolong strain, which is most popular and most widely cultivated in Taiwan. Jin Xuan has gained quite a lot of popularity, both domestically and internationally. Initially processed as a high mountain tea, which means minimally oxidized and unroasted. Through competitions and the standards created for those competitions, it has also been processed more like a traditional tea, meaning that it's more significantly oxidized and roasted to different levels. We recently shared another competition from the Nantou City Farmers Association, which is a medium, almost verging on heavy roast of a Jin Xuan Oolong. The Meishan Farmers Association, their standard that they set is a light roast tea. So I'm becoming more and more fond of it, I must say, especially with procuring our April batch of the High Mountain Oolong and then this batch of the High Mountain Jin Xuan, and really getting to know the standard of the roasting level that the Farmers Association has set. What it does, so in order to roast tea to any significant extent, it requires a sufficient amount of oxidation of the leaves. These leaves are oxidized more than a green high mountain tea, but definitely less than a traditional oolong like Dongding Oolong. So I'm guessing around 20% oxidation. And then they undergo usually 2 long sessions of low temperature roastings, and it just mellows the green factor of the tea and brings out a more balanced, mild, sweeter character in the tea. And while the floral aspects of a fresh green high mountain tea are compromised for a sweeter, more balanced profile, you get this more substantial brew from a lightly roasted tea. And I think, in my experience, teas that are slightly roasted, they grow on you. You know, there's an initial attraction to the fresh, floral, fruity characters of an unroasted high mountain tea. But when tea leaves are roasted, they just become more complex in the brewed tea character. You grow fonder of them over time, in my experience. So when tea leaves are roasted either to any extent, lightly or all the way up to a heavily roasted tea such as Tie Guanyin, it brings out a complexity in the brew that there's just more there to explore in the flavor profile and the character of the tea. So in that respect, there is a specialty quality involved in producing a roasted tea that goes beyond any unroasted tea. But there's something about this profile that I feel really hits the mark. It's just very satisfying and soothing, and I think it's palatable to almost anybody that's interested in tea to any degree. The bitterness is very low comparative to other styles of tea, and there's a balance and a kind of soothing character to it. Yeah, I wrote in our description of this tea, it reminds me of fresh scones. There's a buttery aspect to it, and just a fresh pastry aroma. It's just yummy. It's really significantly different than an unroasted tea, and yet you don't think roasted when you first taste it. If you analyze it and compare in a spectrum from unroasted to a heavier roasted tea, you can detect a roasted aspect to the flavor, but it's not an obvious trait in the flavor profile to me. It's just balanced and smooth, and the aftertaste has somewhat of a fresh vegetable or just a mild vegetal character to it. But the initial aroma and the first hit on the palate, it reminds me of something that just came out of the oven that's delicious. So there we have it. Meishan Farmers Association Spring 2017 New Strain Tea Competition. This is the gold medal award that was won by this batch of tea, which is in the top 15% of over 1,000 entries. We're pretty excited to be able to share this with you, and feel that this month has a little bit of an extra educational opportunity for all of us to get more familiar with the standards that are being set here in Taiwan by professionals in order to have different types of tea to enjoy that are made from the same raw material, the same tea leaves. And it's putting the expertise to work and allowing tea farmers to hone their skills to produce various, or at least different gradations in the flavor profiles of tea. Please share your experiences of this tea with us in the comments of our blog page. If you're inspired to make your own tea tasting video, we'd love to see it and see how you go about brewing tea and enjoying it. The Tea Club is for all of us to learn and to share our love of tea. And we have a great time doing it, and we hope you are experiencing the same excitement that we do each month. We'll see you next month.